Happy Monday to you. And now back to Monday's series where we're answering questions inside the Weld app. We've got Herman Page with what hood is the best? Is there an overall winner with professionals? Well, as a professional, let me answer that for you. Quick disclaimer as always, guys, I've been around the block a time or two, but I haven't seen it all. I've got about 15 years of welding experience as far as pipeline, a couple years of that, some shop work, a couple years of that, some field new construction jobs, a couple years of that, and a lot of education. So as far as welding hoods, there's a practical place for all of these. Now, what it comes down to is, what do the professionals recommend? It really doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what hood you have. It matters a little bit, a lot of the lens quality, because you gotta keep our peepers nice and safe. So lens quality is important. As far as the auto dark versus fixed shade, we can get into that kind of stuff. But really the answer to your question is real simple. What are you gonna be doing? Now, I don't have every hood imaginable on the wall here. However, I do have a few. Well, the first thing we'll go with is the Pancake. This obviously has its own design compared to the rest of them, but why? Well, this circle here protects your face quite a bit. It's got a lot of surface area to keep the old spatter bits off your face. And then it has the one side over your ear hole so the sparky bits don't get down in there and burn your brain. The boxings is there intentionally, and it takes some time. You got to custom form it with some sandpaper, and then it really wears in after you really break it in to make this box a lot more comfortable. And that's to keep the sun out of your eyes. So this hood is great for working outside, keeping the sparks off the side of your ear, which a lot of mainline pipelines are. And then the other side is open and the mouth isn't covered, so you can communicate with your helper or whoever you need to across the pipe. So a Pancake is great for those guys that are working outside, need to communicate, and they're working in a 5G position all day, every day. That's your Pancake right there. Now let's just get into the standard fixed shade. Now, as far as what shade lens you're gonna be using, depends on the process, right? Stick welding, most everything I stick to about a shade 10, but everyone's different. So shade 10, 11, even 12, especially when working on much higher amperages or voltages with different processes like flux core, you're gonna wanna go up in that shade. So that'll determine the fixed shade you need. And headgear is important too. While I got this sucker off, make something that's got comfortable headgear. There's some of these hoods, like this one itself, I replace the headgear as soon as I get it. This is a fiber metal hood. It is, you know, all fiberglass, got the flip lens on there that is put on. Fixed shade lens, new headgear, again, to keep everything comfortable for me. Now this hood, and like the Pancake, they're still kind of bulky. They don't necessarily fit in tight spots. This one better than a Pancake, but really this isn't, you can still jam your head in a couple tight spots, but this isn't like your pocket hood or anything like that. But your fixed shades are important. Also, if you have a hard hat attachment, that's also important. I always have a flip lens on most of my stuff because most of the jobs require some sort of double eye protection, and it's hard to use a grind mode on an auto dark because it's still kind of dark even though it's not auto darkening. So that's why I'll prefer one of these setups. Now, as far as a fixed shade, I like that for a lot of my TIG work, but as far as stick and stuff, I usually stick to an auto just because arc strikes are bad for your health and your job. Another fixed shade option is just having a bigger window. This one's a big window flipped sideways, but you have a lot of these hoods. A lot of hoods can be fit up with a fixed shade lens. You can actually go to some of your department stores or even on Amazon. There's a particular one that looks a lot like this, but it's made out of plastic, not carbon fiber, and it's like $15. That accompanied with a good solid fixed shade lens, it's got to flip up. You're in business now for a hood that's probably 30 bucks. And there's other options too. And now we're gonna get into the auto darks. Well, now we move on to our auto dark welding hoods. Now these hoods, they're what they are. They are not dark until the arc initiates, and then they go to whatever shade you set them to. I'll have to say, I use these more than I use my fixed shades. A lot of fabrication and a lot of, you know, being able to keep your hood down and being able to see is pretty invaluable once you get to knowing it. The fixed shades take a little bit of time to get used to, especially when you're learning. Auto darks are usually a lot more helpful when it comes to the learning process of welding too. So I'd probably recommend having this, but you gotta also know that these things run off batteries, sometimes capacitors. But if the batteries go out, you can't weld, you don't have a hood, So what are you gonna do? You can't do it. So it's nice to have a fixed shade backup just in case. That's Old Faithful. It'll never go out on you unless you drop your hood and you break a lens. So then you have backup lenses. I've got tons of backup lenses. I got tons of backup hoods. I've got a career of 15 years in welding. This is what it looks like. I've got a hood for every occasion. So when it comes to auto darks, don't cheap out on them. There's a big range of them. As far as these 2x4s that go into here, and as far as these bigger ones, as far as the bigger viewing lenses, the range of price goes everywhere. So be sure to do your due diligence. If you know you're gonna forward your career and you really wanna invest in yourself, I really recommend investing yourself into a proper welding hood. Same things with these auto dark lenses. There are tons of manufacturers that make them. Do some asking on the Weld app, say who's been using what, and maybe that'll give you a better decision on which one to purchase. Because you can get a pretty standard hood and put a nice lens in it, and you've got a really nice hood. So think about that, and again, it's not a matter of which hood you need. It's a matter about who's behind it. So keep that in mind. Oh yeah, and whatever you're welding on too, where you're at, all those things. Where are you gonna put your head? All right, I hope that answers your question. And if you guys have any other welding questions, go inside the Weld app, ask them. I'll be happy to answer them on every Monday coming forward, as well as a lot of other people inside the Weld app ready to answer that question too. So check us out, man.